I don't know. And he's like I said, your boxing gets better by the hour. Okay. Soon you'll be undefeated.
Do whatever you want in the ring. And it's gonna be very hard to beat Shakur, with the skills that he possesses and the smarts that he has, and given the opportunity, I think he can pose a great threat to.
The boxing world didn't just lean in. It held its breath because whispers started leaking out of two training camps that were never supposed to talk to each other. Shakur Stevenson sharpening his blade in silence. Teofimo Lopez turning the gym into a pressure cooker. And suddenly, insiders started hinting that something felt off, intense and borderline personal. This isn't just prep for a fight. This is psychological warfare with sweat on it. And once the words "gloves off" started circulating, the internet knew this wasn't another boring behind-the-scenes vlog. This felt like a secret that slipped out of the locker room when nobody was supposed to be listening. On one side, Shakur, moving like a chess grandmaster who already sees checkmate 3 rounds ahead. On the other, Teofimo training like he's trying to punch doubt out of existence. Two completely different energies, two completely different egos, and both camps acting like the cameras aren't catching everything. Trainers whispering, sparring, partners leaking stories, and suddenly fans are arguing like they've been sitting ringside all camp long. This makes reality TV look lazy because boxing camps don't need scripts. They come preloaded with tension. Something is brewing here. Something raw, something reckless. And episode 1 isn't about gloves touching. It's about masks slipping. Because before fists fly, pride always goes first. The first leaks didn't come with footage or official announcements. They came as whispers. The kind that slip through gyms when someone talks too loud near the water cooler. Word started spreading that Shakur Stevenson's camp felt ice cold and surgical, like a laboratory where mistakes don't survive past warm-ups. At the same time, Teofimo Lopez's camp sounded like controlled chaos. Music blasting, voices raised, energy spilling into every corner like pressure looking for an exit. Nobody said the camps were watching each other, but everyone acted like they were. That's how you know something real is brewing. Shakur Stevenson has always moved like a man allergic to noise. His reputation isn't built on viral knockouts or screaming promos. It's built on precision so clean it feels disrespectful. Inside his camp, the tone is reportedly ruthless in the quietest way possible. No wasted movement, no wasted words, and definitely no wasted rounds. Sparring partners don't leave with stories, they leave with bruised egos and NDAs in spirit, if not on paper. That silence isn't calm, it's calculation. And calculation makes people nervous. Teofimo Lopez, on the other hand, treats training, camp like a proving ground and a performance all at once. His energy doesn't whisper, it announces itself. According to people circling his gym, the sessions feel like battle rehearsals mixed with motivational speeches that sound one sentence away from a diss track. He feeds off momentum, emotion, and the feeling that everyone is doubting him, just enough to make things personal. If Shakur is sharpening a scalpel, Teofimo is swinging a hammer and daring the wall not to crack. The tension didn't start because of trash talk. That's the part people keep missing. It started because of contrast. Two elite fighters preparing in completely opposite ways creates a natural rivalry before a single word is exchanged. Fans noticed it immediately. Clips surfaced showing Shakur moving effortlessly, barely breathing hard, making elite sparring. Partners looked like they showed up late to class. Meanwhile, Teofimo's footage looked explosive, heavy hands slamming bags. Trainers yelling encouragement like this was the final round of a war. Same destination, wildly different routes. Then came the reactions. Boxing Twitter did what it does best and turned into a digital scouting report written by people who've never wrapped their hands. Some praised Shakur's discipline, calling It's championship energy. Others said it looked too relaxed, like complacency disguised as confidence. Teofimo supporters hyped the intensity, saying hunger beats finesse every time. Critics warned that emotion burns gas tanks faster than cardio. Drills. The debate didn't stay technical. It got personal fast. Inside Shakur's camp, the alleged attitude is simple: let them talk. People close to the gym hinted that any mention of Teofimo gets met with shrugs and smirks. That kind of dismissal cuts deeper than insults. It suggests inevitability. Fighters don't like being treated like a foregone conclusion, especially ones who built their careers on proving people wrong. If Teofimo thrives on doubt, Shakur's indifference is gasoline. Teofimo's side didn't miss that energy shift. Insiders claim the camp started leaning harder into intensity once Shakur's calm clips circulated. Louder music, harder rounds, longer sessions. Not because they needed it physically, but because mentally this fight started feeling like a referendum. Teofimo doesn't just want to win. He wants to feel the win before it happens. And when he feels underestimated, that switch flips fast. The internet framed this as technique versus power, brains versus bravado. But inside the camps, it's something else entirely. It's about control. Shakur controls space, tempo, and expectations. Teofimo controls emotion, momentum, and narrative. Both styles have broken champions before. That's why this matchup feels dangerous before contracts even get mentioned too loudly. Someone's identity is getting tested here. The sarcasm online reached Olympic levels. Memes compared Shakur's camp to a quiet assassin montage, while Teofimo's camp got likened to a superhero origin story where the music never stops. People joke that Shakur looks like he's preparing to win a unanimous decision without sweating, while Teofimo looks like he's training to punch a hole through the judge's table just in case. Humor made it entertaining, but underneath the jokes was real tension. Former fighters started chiming in with coded language. Nobody wanted to pick sides outright, but everyone had concerns and questions. Some praised Shakur's maturity. Others warned that too much control can turn into passivity. Some applauded Teofimo's fire. Others cautioned that fire burns brightest right before it goes out. These weren't neutral takes. They were warnings dressed as wisdom. What really turned the temperature up were the sparring rumors. Alleged stories leaked about Shakur schooling high-level partners so badly sessions ended early. At the same time, whispers out of Teofimo's camp claimed brutal rounds where nobody was allowed to coast, even if it meant pushing past comfort. No footage confirmed any of it, but confirmation wasn't required. The idea alone was enough to fuel the narrative. Fans started picking apart body language from grainy clips like they were analyzing presidential debates. A relaxed smile from Shakur became proof of dominance to some and arrogance to others. Teofimo. Yelling mid-workout was seen as passion by supporters and insecurity by critics. The same actions meant opposite things depending on who was watching. That's how you know the fight is already happening mentally. What makes this more volatile is history. Both fighters have tasted praise and backlash. Shakur's critics have long labeled him boring, despite his brilliance. Teofimo's critics have questioned his consistency and mental approach after emotional swings in past fights. This matchup pokes both insecurities at once. Shakur has to prove that control can still excite and dominate. Teofimo has to prove that fire can be focused and sustained inside both camps. There's reportedly an unspoken awareness that Episode 1 isn't about punches, it's about posture. Who looks ready? Who looks settled? Who looks like they're chasing something versus protecting something? Shakur looks like he's defending a throne he already believes is his. Teofimo looks like he's trying to storm a castle with adrenaline and belief. That difference matters. The media pressure didn't help. Every interview question felt loaded. Every answer got dissected. Fighters said less, trainers said even less, and silence became its own statement. The more quiet Shakur's side stayed. The louder Teofimo's camp seemed by comparison. That imbalance fed speculation that one side was playing chess while the other played drums. Whether that's fair or not doesn't matter once the internet decides. By the end of this phase, the tone was set. This wasn't friendly competition. It was mutual irritation wrapped in professionalism. No slurs, no screaming matches. Just enough edge to let everyone know this was personal without admitting it. Fans felt it. Comment sections buzzed. The camp stayed locked in. Episode 1 closed with one undeniable truth hanging in the air. These two aren't just training for each other, they're training against narratives that have followed them for years. Shakur is fighting the boredom label. Teofimo is fighting the inconsistency whispers. One camp believes silence wins wars. The other believes noise breaks walls, and that's why this feels dangerous already. Because when two fighters train with something to prove beyond the belt, the ring becomes a confession booth. And somebody is going to confess everything the hard way. By the time the second wave of camp footage started circulating, the tone shifted from curiosity to confrontation. This wasn't just preparation anymore, it was positioning. Course. Clips got quieter, tighter, almost minimalist, like a luxury brand ad where confidence doesn't need narration. Teofimo's clips got louder and faster, sweat flying, trainers barking, cameras catching intensity like it was a live wire. The internet didn't just notice the contrast, it fed on it. Two camps, two philosophies, and one audience addicted to picking sides. Boxing Twitter turned into a psychology seminar hosted by people who learned footwork from highlight reels. Shakur supporters leaned hard into the levels argument, pointing out balance, timing, and how he made elite movement look casual. They said this wasn't boredom, this was mastery. Teofimo's backers fired back with dog energy, arguing that controlled violence beats calculated patience when pressure rises. The debate stopped being about skills and started being about belief systems, finesse versus fury, calculation versus conviction. Then the rumors got louder. Alleged whispers out of Shakur's camp claimed sparring partners were rotating fast. Not because he was tired, but because they were. Stories painted him as untouchable, slipping shots by inches and countering like he already downloaded his opponent. Meanwhile, tales from Teofimo's gym described rounds that looked like car crashes, heavy hands landing, bodies getting tested, and nobody allowed to coast. No proof, no timestamps, just enough detail to feel real. The internet doesn't need verification when the imagery is vivid. Celebrity reactions poured gasoline on everything. Former champs dropped vague comments about styles making fights and mental warfare starting early. Influencers posted clips with captions like "this one's different" and "somebody getting exposed." Nobody named names, but everyone knew the subtext. Silence became strategic shade. Every non-answer felt like a message. Memes exploded. Because tension needs comic relief to stay shareable. Shakur got edited into chessboards, surgeons' tables, and slow-motion sniper montages. Teofimo got placed in gladiator arenas, action movie training sequences, and superhero origin scenes. The jokes were funny, but they also hardened narratives. Once a fighter becomes a meme archetype, people start watching to see if reality matches the joke. Pressure spikes when expectations crystallize. The media didn't help. Interview questions got sharper, fishing for cracks. Shakur was asked if his calm ever turns into passivity. He answered with composed deflection, the kind that sounds like confidence but irritates anyone looking for vulnerability. Teofimo got asked about emotional swings and focus. He responded with passion and certainty, the kind that inspires believers and worries skeptics. Every quote got clipped, captioned, and weaponized. The wildest twist came when training camp etiquette itself became a talking point. Shakur's camp, limited access, fewer leaks, fewer angles, fewer voices. That restraint. Read as discipline to supporters and secrecy to critics. Teofimo's camp leaned into visibility. More angles, more sound, more energy. That openness read as transparency to fans and chaos to detractors. Both camps were doing what worked for them, but the internet framed it as mind games. Pop culture. Comparisons went nuclear. People said this felt like a cerebral villain versus an explosive anti-hero. Others joked it was a silent assassin versus a battle rapper with gloves. Hyperbole ruled the day because it made the tension digestible. Underneath the jokes was a real question. Which style survives when the lights get unforgiving? The outrage phase arrived when fans started accusing the other side of ducking, overtraining, undertraining, or hiding something. Shakur's calm got labeled too safe by critics craving fireworks. Teofimo's intensity got labeled reckless by those who fear gas tank meltdowns. The same footage fueled opposite conclusions. That's when you know anticipation has peaked. Inside the camps, the pressure reportedly changed behavior. Shakur's team doubled down on fundamentals, tightening details that casual viewers wouldn't notice. Teofimo's team reportedly emphasized controlled aggression, focusing on cutting off the ring instead of chasing highlights. Adjustments like these don't make headlines, but they matter. The chess match wasn't just online. It was happening. In real time on the mats, former sparring partners and gym insiders started hinting without revealing. He's sharper than ever. It's locked in like I haven't seen. Vague enough to avoid backlash, specific enough to stir speculation. Every hint became a headline. Every headline became a talking point. The noise fed itself. What really escalated things was the narrative of pride. Shakur's camp looked like it was defending an identity built on control and intelligence. Teofimo's camp looked like it was reclaiming an identity built on heart and explosion. Pride doesn't negotiate. When pride enters camp, every round means more. Every clip feels like a statement. Every misstep feels amplified. The audience started counting imaginary scorecards for training sessions that didn't exist publicly. Shakur lands clean. Advantage Shakur. Teofimo blasts a bag. Momentum, Teofimo. This wasn't analysis, it was emotional investing. Fans weren't just watching, they were choosing futures. As episode 1 pushed forward, the feeling wasn't excitement anymore, it was inevitability. Something had to give. Someone's philosophy was about to be stress-tested under lights that don't forgive. The camps weren't trash-talking, but they were absolutely talking past each other. Each side believed the other didn't understand. What was coming by the end of this phase? The lines were drawn deeper than before. Shakur looked like a man preparing to solve a problem methodically. Teofimo looked like a man preparing to break one decisively. Both believed they had the answer. Both believed the other was mistaken. The tension stopped climbing and started compressing. That's the dangerous stage. It's the stage where noise quiets, confidence hardens, and the work speaks louder than words. Episode 1 wasn't teasing a fight. It was documenting the collision of two truths that can't coexist, and with camps locked in and narrative set, everyone knew what was next wouldn't be louder. It would be heavier. Because once preparation turns personal, the ring stops being a venue and starts being a verdict. As the early leaks faded into background noise, something more dangerous took their place. Expectation. The kind that sits quietly, watches everything, and sharpens its knives while everyone pretends it's just hype. Now, training camps don't collapse under pressure when cameras are loud. They collapse when the cameras go quiet and the work has to speak for itself. By this stage, both camps had crossed that line. The show was over. What remained was consequence. Shakur Stevenson's side looked increasingly sealed off from the outside world, and that isolation did something interesting to public perception. Supporters read it as supreme confidence, a champion's posture that doesn't need validation. Critics read it as risk, warning that too much insulation can breed tunnel vision. The truth, as usual, lived somewhere uncomfortable in between. Silence protects focus, but it also magnifies every assumption made in the absence of information. When you don't talk, people talk for you. Teofimo Lopez's camp felt the opposite pull. Visibility brought energy, but it also brought scrutiny. Every intense session, every shouted instruction, every heavy breath got replayed and judged. Supporters loved the fire, seeing hunger and urgency that felt contagious. Skeptics circled like hawks, waiting for signs of overtraining or emotional burnout. The same intensity that fuels belief can also feed doubt. That's the risk of letting the world watch you sweat. The aftermath of episode 1 wasn't about new footage, it was about interpretation. Commentators stopped reacting and started predicting. Analysts framed this as a referendum on boxing philosophy itself. Can pure control neutralize chaos, or does chaos eventually break rhythm? Shakur became the symbol of efficiency, Teofimo the symbol of disruption. Once fighters become symbols, they stop being allowed to just fight. They have to represent something bigger. Former champions weighed in more directly now, because the narrative had matured enough to invite seriousness. Some praised Shakur's discipline as the kind that ages well under pressure. Others warned that fighting to clean can invite judges' indifference if moments don't pop. Teofimo drew opposite feedback. His aggression inspired belief, but veterans cautioned that aggression without patience can bleed rounds away quietly. Wisdom didn't settle debates. It sharpened them. Behind the scenes, both camps reportedly adjusted without announcing it. Shakur's team tightened emphasis on inside work, not to become aggressive, but to remove excuses. If the fight got messy, they wanted answers prepared. Teofimo's team focused more on positioning and restraint, aiming to turn pressure into traps instead of chases. These aren't dramatic changes, but they're telling. They suggest both camps understood the caricatures forming around them and wanted insurance against them. Public perception shifted subtly during this phase. Shakur's critics grew quieter, not because they were convinced, but because consistency is harder to attack than highlights. Teofimo's critics became more cautious too, acknowledging that controlled fire is still fire. The loudest voices moved from certainty to anticipation. When that happens, means people sense something real approaching. The relationship between the fighters and their narratives tightened. Shakur started being described less as boring and more as clinical, a word that respects results, even when it doesn't love the show. Teofimo began getting framed less as wild and more as volatile, a word that excites but warns. Language matters. It doesn't. What lingered most was how personal this started to feel without ever becoming disrespectful. No insults, no theatrics, just mutual irritation. The kind that shows up when two elite competitors believe the other doesn't truly understand them. Shakur's calm suggested he thought Teofimo would overextend. Teofimo's intensity suggested he thought Shakur would fold under pressure. Both beliefs can't be true simultaneously. That's why this felt inevitable. Fans began talking about legacies instead of outcomes. What does a win mean for Shakur? If he dominates without drama, does it finally silence the boredom narrative or reinforce it? What does a win mean for Teofimo if he overwhelms control with chaos? Is it redemption or reinvention? Losses loomed just as large. A loss for Shakur invites questions about adaptability. A loss for Teofimo reignites whispers about focus. Stakes rose without contracts ever being mentioned aloud. The camps themselves reportedly felt the weight. Training intensity didn't increase dramatically, precision did. That's the sign of maturity. When fighters stop trying to impress and start trying to eliminate risk, the real preparation begins. Less show, more detail. Less noise, more intent. This phase doesn't look exciting on camera, which is exactly why it matters. Media coverage grew quieter but sharper. Fewer headlines, more analysis. That shift usually signals respect. When journalists stop chasing sound bites and start discussing implications, the sport knows something serious is coming. Episode 1 wasn't a trailer anymore. It was a thesis statement. The most telling development was how both fighters spoke. About everything except each other. Shakur emphasized craft, patience, and execution. Teofimo emphasized belief, timing, and momentum. Neither dismissed the other outright, but neither credited the other fully either. That selective acknowledgement is classic. It's how fighters protect confidence without showing fear. As the dust settled, one truth became unavoidable. This wasn't being built as a circus. It was being built as a test. A test of styles, identities, and narratives that have followed. Both men for years. Shakur's identity as the technician who wins without drama. Teofimo's identity as the disruptor who thrives on moments. The ring doesn't care about identities. It exposes them. Episode 1 ended not with fireworks, but with a feeling. The feeling that the work is done talking. That whatever comes next won't need leaks or whispers to matter. When camps go quiet at the same time, it's usually because both sides believe they're ready. And belief is dangerous when it's mutual. The audience felt it too. The chatter softened, predictions hardened, and the waiting began. That's the calm that scares fighters the most. Not the loud buildup, but the stillness right before commitment. The kind of stillness where doubt has nowhere to hide. And that's where this chapter closes. Not with answers, not with bravado, but with alignment. Two camps, two truths, both convinced the other is about to learn something painful. Episode 1 didn't promise violence. It promised resolution. Because when preparation turns this intentional, the fight stops being about hype and starts being about consequence. And when consequence finally shows up, it doesn't ask who you believed in. It just tells the truth. Now, before you click away, acting like this was just another training camp recap, let's be real. This already feels different. You didn't sit through episode 1 because you love mitt work and footwork drills. You stayed because you can feel something brewing under the surface. This isn't hype for hype's sake. This is two elite fighters preparing to prove entire narratives wrong. And when narratives collide, somebody always pays for it. So do what the algorithm understands better than judges. Scorecards and smash that like button like it owes you money. Likes tell the boxing gods you want more inside looks, more leaked tension, and more breakdowns when camps start moving funny. Drop a comment and don't play safe either. Who wins this style war? Shakur's cold precision or Teofimo's controlled chaos? Don't explain it politely, pick a side and stand on it. If you're tired of fake trash talk, lazy takes, and highlight merchants pretending they understand preparation, make sure you subscribe right now. This is where boxing narratives get stripped down to the studs. Camps, egos, momentum shifts, and pressure points don't hide here. Episodes don't drop for fun. They drop because something changed. Turn on notifications so you don't miss episode 2, because this story is only getting heavier from here. As camps tighten, leaks dry up, and confidence hardens, the real signals start showing. When they do, you'll want the breakdown before the internet pretends it saw it coming. This is Punch Press. Gloves off, masks slipping, and truth loading. And remember this clearly. In boxing, the loudest trash talk happens before camp. The quietest moments are when fighters already know what's about to happen.